The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of Kevin Jordan or his guests. These gardening tips and suggestions may work for you, as well as those from alternative sources. When using any garden products or tools, read and follow all label directions. And learn how to make your yard summer strong at bewatersmart.info.
The Green Acres Garden Podcast is the podcast dedicated to helping gardeners hone their growing skills while we celebrate our love of plants. So whether you're new to growing or a seasoned gardener, you're sure to learn something new. Join the fun as we have conversations with world-class growers, passionate green thumbs, and professional garden experts from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Listen every week. We'll answer questions you didn't know you had. Well, all right, let's get down to business. Time to dig deep, cultivate some garden knowledge. Welcome everybody to the show. This is the Green Acres Garden Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Jordan, back in studio to talk plants, gardening, and all things 2024. This is going to be the year of the gardener. How's it going there, Austin?
Hey, Kevin, I am doing great, and hello to all of our listeners. Welcome back to the show. Let's get into it, Kevin. This is a year for greatness, right?
Fresh start.
A fresh start.
I'm calling it.
That's the gardener's way. I love it.
Any failures of last summer, you know, those aphids, those whitefly, whatever, they're in the past. I'm moving on. Those weeds, the Bermuda grass, the nutsedge. I'm moving forward. Actually, it's going to be a great year. And so the theme of this episode today, we're going to talk about how to start your gardening year off right. Make 2024 an awesome year of wonderful harvest, you know, bountiful blossoms. And so I think we have some things to talk about.
Yeah. So where do you start? Like, I mean,
seeds.
your
right away, buddy.
Seeds.
Plant them right now.
Okay.
So it is the best time
right
now. So it depends on the seed. I would say that
seems too early.
You know, for some, yes. And what I've learned in the past is I've almost never planted one early enough.
Okay.
So there's things called planting calendars. We've brought them up in the past. I'm sure we can link one in today's description.
Sure, I can add one.
They're very helpful, especially if the planting calendar that you're looking at is for your region, your climate zone. So it's very particular on the temperature, so how cold it gets, how warm it gets. But for us right now, I'm already looking at my peppers. I'm looking into tomatoes. I'm getting things planted right away. I've always noticed, for me, peppers and tomatoes are a staple of the summer crop.
Yep.
And so I know we're the heart of winter and we're staring, you know, summer's quite a ways away, but we got to prepare now. And so part of that is planting some seed. It is, for me, it's the best way to get my hands on interesting new varieties, different cultivars that I like and enjoy already. Like I think I have a packet of Sun Gold tomatoes in my junk drawer at home right now, just in case. Oh yeah, and so I've noticed for me, the tomatoes always seem to sprout up and grow very quickly, and so I can always wait a little bit, another week or two for them. My peppers are always a little sluggish.
Those take a while.
So bust out those heat mats, get out a really good germination mix. If you're not sure how to make a good germination mix, I think we talked about it a few episodes back. We talked with Kevin Espiritu of Epic Gardening, and he was talking about making your own mix.
And he was talking about filtering it,
or
just
sift it out,
sifting it to get that very fine those fine particles.
Absolutely.
Because the seeds need that loose mix.
Absolutely. They want it loose. They want it light. So you can go purchase some, or you can make some from some, you know, any kind of potting soil you have lying around. But just try to filter out some of those larger, heavier fragments and get going. Seeds, they offer, like I said, they offer up an enormous array of opportunity. There's many different seed companies out there. Of course, one we bring up all the time here is Botanical Interest. They've got a couple dozen new seed varieties. I think 27 new varieties of seed.
They have new ones.
New all the time. New offerings every year, I'm sure.
Oh, that's
so they're out there hunting down interesting, you know, different cultivars from flowers to fruits and veggies, herbs.
Are you going to try one of the new things, you think?
I want to. I saw these snapdragons in there that are orange with like pink kind of brimmed edges that you can, great for bringing in pollinators. They make actually a pretty good cut flower, I would say, in a bouquet.
Definitely.
Last year, we grew them along the perimeter of our school garden, and we planted them actually, you know, right in the dead of winter. By the end of, you know, the school year, they were like knee high, just full of life, full of color. But that year, we didn't have any oranges. It was just mainly pinks and magentas and whites and things like that, yellows.
I don't know if I've seen many orange ones.
Yeah, that's why I liked it. So it seemed a little interesting.
Okay.
I read in the label, it says they're edible. I've never really just...
What would you eat? The petal?
Probably the flowers, right?
The flower petal, yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of flowers out there that are, you know, technically edible. Some of them more delicious than others. Now, if you want a good one, go eat a pineapple guava flower. Those are actually delicious, in my opinion. They taste like juicy fruit. But like I said, I've also eaten other flowers that are edible, and it's like it just it's like it's edible in that it won't hurt you.
But it just
but it tastes kind of bland, I suppose.
Yeah, they
but
don't even taste bad.
No, but I would take some of those, throw them in a salad or
Sure.
something like that, or on a dessert for some extra flair. But those are kind of cool. I just like I don't want to get in a rut of just growing the same veggies every year, same herbs. There's some that I love that will always have a spot in the garden. But it's nice to cycle in something new. One that caught my eye, actually, was the Megatron jalapeno chili peppers. The Megatron. It's like
that's a cool name. That
Optimus
makes me
Prime
think
of jalapenos.
Kevin Espiritu, too. He was saying that everyone needs to go crazier with the names.
Why not? And so these ones,
name.
hey, think of these words here. See if they get you excited, Austin. Extra large.
Oh.
Thick-walled. Flavorful pepper. 4.5 inches.
That sounds great.
Right?
That's a big pepper.
That's the point. It's a big one. It's extra. So far as jalapenos go, these are monsters, right? So it's still spicy. It's got that thick wall, so you can cook it a little bit longer, and you can stuff it full of cheese and herbs and whatever you like. Nice. So I like that. And this one's supposed to be earlier to harvest, and so I like that. So quick harvest. And what's really cool, the whole sriracha fiasco.
Remember I don't know about the fiasco. Wait, there's a shortage?
There was a shortage. We won't go into details here,
Okay.
but there was this delicious hot sauce that was in short supply. But what's kind of cool is you can make your own, really.
Sure.
And you know what? It's essentially ripe jalapenos. It's red jalapenos, some sugar, some water, some vinegar, maybe some salt.
Red? Is that do you have to buy a different kind to grow to make them red, or?
Oh, bless you summer
They
summer
start
child.
red and then they turn green.
These ones, so peppers will always kind of start green and then they'll ripen to their mature color, which could be yellow, red, orange, purple, what have you. So these ones will go green to red, like a lot of peppers.
Were you laughing at me because I don't know?
No, I wasn't laughing. I appreciate you pretending. No,
I don't know.
No, that's how they turn. Yeah, absolutely. So if you let these sweet Megatron jalapenos ripen, you're gonna have some 4.5-inch just red beasts ready to make some hot sauce.
Nice.
And I'm into that. There was another one that kind of caught my eye. It was like a bush. It was like a container tomato. It was the cream sausage bush tomato. These little 3-inch fat little yellow fruits on there that you could use making yellow pasta sauce, jazz up your salsa or whatever. You can just rip them right off the vine and just chomp on it. I like that kind of tomato, these little meaty ones. And I guess it's a stout little plant that you can just pop right into a container. So good for that kind of style growing, maybe on a patio, something like that.
Okay. Can I ask, Kevin, what are your plans for your garden at the school? Are you going to do some of this new stuff there, or what is your plan?
Hopefully, we grew it was like 60 different tomatoes last year. I think this year, I think I learned my lesson. It was a bountiful harvest. It was insane in the most wonderful way. It was great. It was a huge harvest all summer long.
Yeah.
But it's a big effort, right? And there were some other things that I didn't grow enough of, like cucumbers. My eggplant I didn't grow as much of. Even more basil I wanted. So there's some things, more squash, more melons. There's a few things I wanted to get in there. Does
that mean you'll do not as many rows of tomato and you'll dedicate some of that to?
I think we're gonna yeah. I think I'm gonna kind of pull back. Still do a lot of different variety. But maybe like 40 tomatoes, maybe just a few, and then change those other rows up because I really have fun kind of eating the different types of vegetables that are out there. And we just had so many tomatoes that, and they were all delicious, and we gobbled them all up. But it was like it'd be nice to have something to go with them.
Sure.
Which we had a few, but it was just I think we can make a better balance. Okay. And so that's what I'm. Which actually brings us to a concept that has come up on our show before. One of our former guests on the show let us into our home, into the backyard, and saw that beautiful landscape. Ruby Andrews.
Oh yeah, Ruby.
She had a concept she brought up, and it was like talking about editing her landscape. Area by area, just from time to time, just kind of reflecting on it, looking at it, and maybe making some changes to maybe pull things out, put things in, add in some garden art, whatever, mulch, new plants, what have you. And she called it editing the garden. And I think that's a great concept. And this time of year, with the weather being so cool and the ability to get things in the ground and get them established before the summer heat comes, this is a great time and opportunity to edit your gardens. And they can be small edits. It doesn't have to be massive. It can be, changing out, a container pot that you had and planting some things that maybe you didn't do before. Or adding or subtracting, everything above. There's so many things you can do this time of year to really make these subtle little changes, improvements to your own landscape, like I said, whether it be small or large. And so edit those gardens.
I love editing. That's such a cool thing because it's sort of a positive outlook on making changes, right? And I love editing. I mean, I edit
I was to say, this is right in your wheelhouse, buddy.
I edit this show all the time. I'm constantly editing audio, but just even writing. That's my favorite part of writing is the editing part of it, right?
Where you can consistently just make these incremental changes, improvements,
and you get
new
to
iterations.
See something come to life and click and make sense. And like, I love that part. That's so cool.
Well, her landscape definitely made sense. It was
and she's
gorgeous.
constantly changing stuff, right?
Yeah, and that's what makes it, I think, enjoyable, and that's what makes it fun, and that's what ends up, I think the end product is something that's a landscape that you can call home, that you can really enjoy for yourself, whether it's, a veggie garden or just, a little pot of some herbs
So
on the
you're
back
going to
patio.
try maybe a little less tomato, maybe some other crops, so any other edits that you might be making?
Gosh, well, we're going to be so busy. Even right now, like I said, we're planting for the summer, but we're deep in a growing season right now for us. So we've got our brassicas in, even more are going in as some come out. So our broccoli, if for those of you, if you're already got your sights set on the summer, if your garden's empty right now, I'd suggest throwing in a little compost and maybe consider growing a little cool season garden before the springtime even comes. For us, that's what we're doing right now at the school. We're in zone 9B or whatever. Yep, and it's growing killer. Yeah, the cabbage, the broccoli, cilantro. Of course, the citrus are going great right now. And so we'll be harvesting very shortly. Actually, some of them we've already been harvesting, the lemons, the mandarins. The oranges we tested, they were a little tart on a few, so we're just going to give them a little longer time, but they're just about ready.
They'll sweeten up the more
just a little bit more. We're trying to give them a little longer. We've had a few that were pretty good, but we think we can get higher numbers. We had that Brix refractometer out there in the garden, so we were squeezing basically orange juice onto this little eyepiece scope, and then it tells you how much basically how much sugar is essentially in something.
You can do that? What? What's the thing called? A refract?
Yeah, look it up. A Brix refractometer. We have a very simple kind of rudimentary one.
Whoa.
But they use it a lot in the wine industry for winemaking and cultivating with grapes. So that way you know exactly what you're pulling off those vines and how much sugar is in there. And that kind of indicates maybe the quality, the ripeness, the soil health as well.
And you said you squeeze juice onto it.
Yep, you just have a little scope. You open up a slide and you smash on the fruit. We sometimes will do it with strawberries and apples, whatever, oranges, lemons. And you squeeze it on there, get it really good, and then you just put that scope up to the sky, and it'll show you a number essentially that this line kind of levels out at, and then you can look at a chart where it tells you what's poor quality, what's good quality, what's great, what's excellent.
That's a cool tool. I've never heard of that.
Super cool. Well, when you come by the school, we'll do it, or I'll bring it by here. We'll play with it. Actually, maybe I'll bring some fruit into the studio,
we can measure it,
and we'll measure some, and then we'll see what's up.
I didn't know that you could measure fruit in this way. That's so cool.
It's a fun tool to have, especially for just like the home orchard person who's like a hobbyist and wants to have fun with their fruit trees. Especially for just like I said, it gives you a good indication of what's going on with your fruit. So they're kind of fun. So we've been doing that a bit. So we're gonna be harvesting, and then as soon as we harvest all that citrus, it's time to prune for us because our citrus trees have kind of outgrown their own areas, and I don't want to prune them too heavy when they're already setting flowers in spring or they're full of fruit in the summer. I want to try to get to them right after we harvest.
So
this winter
in a few
time.
Weeks.
Yeah, maybe a few weeks, like a week or two after we're done harvesting.
Okay.
Right when those last few fruits come off, we're gonna cut them back pretty good.
Right,
Because we want to keep them sizable.
I keep learning or hearing from our guests, you really got to be aggressive with the pruning.
For sure. Yeah, you don't want to be afraid of it. I mean, you don't want to whack them down to nothing. But these ones they're so large. They're like, they're 12, 14 feet tall in some spots. We want to bring them back down to height a little bit.
I think this was with Ed Livo. You were discussing you said you'd let your trees get a little too big.
I did.
So you're trying to correct that.
Yeah,
and
even
bring
the
them
stone fruits at the school. So I've been doing that a lot. So I just came off my spraying. So a few weeks back, we talked about the importance of spraying dormant sprays, liquid cop. It's a copper spray. Check it out. It's a pretty good episode. And that's what I've been doing at the school. And that's to avoid, all that nasty peach leaf curl. But I've also been pruning really aggressively on the fruit trees to remove any of that dead, diseased, dying branches, the ones that are crisscrossing, anyone that are near the ground, or if they're too far away from the center of the trunk. I've been bringing them back. I've noticed the canopies, some of them were really, really tall and way too high for what our goals are. We want to bring those canopies down quite a bit. But I also noticed some of them have grown really, really, like me after the holidays. So they've grown really wide. And And so I'm trying to bring those limbs in, because if you notice, they're traveling so far horizontally, horizontal to the ground, kind of at a low angle, away from that main trunk. When they get a lot of fruit on there,
They can snap.
split. It's the worst. It's especially when you see a branch is full of fruit in your mind, you're thinking, oh, jackpot. And then it just and it collapses over. So pruning is important. I pass on the way to work every day. I notice it. I almost want to knock on their door and leave our card. Which I'm not leaving the card to go do the work, but I want to care. I pass this tree. It's here in Sacramento, just a normal neighborhood. And they have this beautiful, in a way, like probably a peach tree. And but its branches are just so splayed out. And you can see they have never pruned it, and they don't know what to do, apparently, because they're like crutching up the branches with like sticks and stakes and
weird.
to try to hold them, because probably in the summer they probably bend down and they're afraid they're going to break. Which I admire that their tenacity, because they want to save it.
How interesting.
But what I want to go tell them is, hey, especially right now, it's dormant. The tree has no leaves. It's like, hey, get in there with some loppers, a little handsaw, because some of these limbs are pretty good size, and just cut those limbs back quite a bit, by half, if not even like 2/3, because they're very outstretched. That way, those limbs could then just get packed full of growth, and packed full of fruit, and none of it won't snap. It's on a nice, healthy limb.
I could see how that'd be scary.
Conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go.
They're probably emotionally tied to it, and
it's not my place.
This is good for the tree, though.
The pruning would be for sure, and that's what I think it gets to is, it's okay to prune.
Yeah.
It's like it's brushing your teeth. It's like doing those things. It's like it's good.
It's how a tree brushes its teeth.
It's like it's like a good pain. It's like
it's a haircut.
Yes, that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
So that for me, pruning out there is super important. That'll of course spill into the ornamental gardens.
Okay.
We got some roses on the campus that we've actually the last few years have been trying to kind of nurse back to health. They were kind of
what happened?
Really unwieldy. Wild, just kind of like just older growth that they'd never been pruned for years, because they weren't a part of the school that I needed to maintain. But I took it under my wing. I said, no more. These roses need to be loved on. And so at that time of year, if you have roses at home, I'm talking about, they're going dormant. This is a great time to prune them, clean them up, plant them even. That's one thing I'm working on this year is I want to grow some roses.
Cool.
I have a few at the school, but my own landscape at home, I have none. And so it's time to get just a few. And so I have a nice sunny spot that I think I'm going to try to pack them in Linda Knowles style.
Do you know what kind you want to do?
I speak of the angel, Linda herself.
Yeah.
I ran into her, and so we're in cahoots. We're going to be in collaboration, I should say.
Help you out.
She's going to help, because I was like, I probably have space for maybe 6 to 9. And it's like, if you're going to do your top 6 to 9, what are you going to do? Yeah. And so I'm going to throw some in and see if I can't squeeze them in. Like I said, I'm going to do it her style, where she packs them in tight.
Yeah.
She grows roses like Ed Livo grows fruit trees. They are in there snug.
She wouldn't put 2 in the same hole.
Not in the same hole.
Okay.
But hers are very close. Her spacing's actually the same. It's like a foot and a half.
Well, her garden's beautiful, so I think you should do it like that.
Yeah, it's lush.
And speaking of roses, I was recently over at the Rose Garden at McKinley Park.
Gorgeous garden.
I love that rose garden.
Super beautiful.
And now's the time that they're starting to prune the roses. But I noticed that in the garden there's little QR codes, and I checked it. I scanned it. I checked it out, and they have garden pruning events at the Rose Garden, where you kind of workshops where you can come and learn how to prune.
It's the best way to hands-on learning,
and then actually take care and prune and do the maintenance that's needed for that garden. And they have maybe hundreds of roses there for sure.
Oh, it's pretty massive. It's a good one.
So I think that'd be cool if you guys want to check it out. I could link that in the episode too. I could add that in the description. And there's like a rose pruning event. It seems like every weekend for the next few weeks. So
nice.
if one of our listeners out there, if you want to check that out, I think it'd be a cool thing. Maybe we should even go.
Dude, roses are making a comeback, I think.
Yeah?
I think they are, man. They're like chic. I think they need to. They're cool. If not, I think we need to promote them such, because I love them. I love the people that grow them, and I want to live in a place that has as many roses as possible.
That's cool that you're adding it into your mix.
For sure.
Yeah.
And when you grow them right, they don't need too much water. They're going to be in a spot with blasting sun. That's good. They're just going to love it.
That's
I'm
great.
looking forward to it.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kevin, for kind of guiding us through. We should be thinking about what we want to plant in the spring and the summer, get the seeds going. We got some pruning to do. What else do you think our listeners should be thinking about right now?
Well, I would say, just like we started with, is just get back to that plan. If you think about what you want, if you have a garden journal, whether it be on your computer or on a sketch pad, just anything simple, you can write out kind of how things are going, and that really helps, whether it's planning for next year or things that happened last year. It's nice to know where you planted things, when you planted them, what you planted, how they did, what you did even can be helpful, all those things. I think that's something to consider, because any amount of planning right now is going to just be super helpful.
Any amount.
So like whether it's what you want to grow, like even just understanding what your goals are, like what are you going to optimize for? Do you want a lot of flowers? Do you want an edible garden? Do you want to, sneak in some fruit trees? And like I brought up Ed Livo, plant them, all in one hole. I think we're starting to motivate people, but most of all, hopefully we are, but our producer Greg told us that he was getting motivated just thinking about gardening as we're making each episode each week, and
he wants to go crazy with blueberries.
He's going blueberry wild.
I love that. We'll have to have him on as a guest, and maybe we could eat some.
Well, he's saying he wants to get at least one, if not more, of each of the varieties that he can get his hands on and plant them at his home and at his church, and hopefully, we can get a good tasting in.
That'd be great.
I want to get that pink lemonade and give that one a shot.
That's a blueberry. A pink lemonade blueberry.
They had a bunch on there that I was like, oh my gosh, makes my mouth waltz. Just sounded delicious, and it was cool.
Maybe I should get a container and do that too.
Why not? Yeah. And they
think
are great in a container with that acidic soil blend that we were talking about. And so, that's a fun thing. And then he's still juiced on the fruit trees, trying to plant them all tight and prune them real hard in the summer. He wants to see if he can do it. And I admire his tenacity.
Yeah.
And I want to see what he comes up with. But for me, like I said, it's just all about planning. Plan things out a little bit. Do what you want. Like right now is still a great time to plant. We talked about fall is for planting. Right now with the weather being kind of off and on, it's been...
Winter is for planting.
Yeah, it still is, especially with our climate here. It's so mild.
It's not too cold.
And you want anything, any big plantings you want to do, if you can get your hands on the things you want, it's just a good, quiet time to get it done, especially when it's not so hot. It's good for the plants, good for your back, and it's good for everything. So for me, I'm kind of excited about this year. We're going to be propagating like wild, whether it's the succulents at the school. We've been doing so many, hundreds and hundreds of leaf cuttings, clones of all the houseplants and tropicals we've been having fun with. And so, like I said, and planting all the seeds. And so for me, I always want to plant, 300% more, 400% more than I think I'll need, because it always works out to some degree. Some don't make it. You always want extra. And so I really enjoy growing from seed, growing from cuttings and propagation, and using that to kind of guide my season. So for us, it's like we'll see what kind of sprouts we have in the springtime.
Okay. Now, if we're starting seeds now, it's the second week of January, and we're doing tomatoes and peppers in them now. When would we be when's the best time? I guess you say follow the calendar.
But plant outside?
Yeah. When are we putting them outside?
Oh, it's going to be different. Everyone has a different answer for that. But for us, it's going to be a long time from the airing of this episode. You're going to start them indoors now, and they are going to live inside in a sheltered little existence for several months.
Several months?
And
that's why you're doing it now.
Yeah, it has to do with your soil temperature.
Okay.
If it's too chilly out there, then they're just not going to grow. That's what tomatoes and peppers and a lot of your warm season crops, they really need that soil temperature to be up there.
Oh, so you're not even really going on a specific date. You're kind of feeling it out.
It'll change every year. And then sometimes you can gamble a little bit and you go, oh, this is going to be, I can get it in early and then get off to a big start. You get it in and maybe you have some great weather and that was a smart decision, or maybe you get them in early and then there's a wicked hailstorm or a frost snap. And so everyone does a different thing. I like just waiting and taking care of them, harden them off, get them used to the outdoors a little bit, and just wait till that soil's nice and warm. So, Austin, I have one more concept I want to bring to your attention. Okay. So I was considering one of the big battles in the summertime for any gardener, especially if you got a nice big garden out there, you've got irrigation going.
Okay.
You battle weeds from time to time. Hopefully that battle is won, but sometimes it's a hard-fought battle. Get ahead of those weeds right now. And so that doesn't require you to spray any chemicals or get out there on your hands and knees and break your back. I want to talk about solarization and occultation. or solarization versus occultation.
Okay.
So solarization is something I would do in the warmer months when it gets really hot and sunny out. You have an area, you have a garden bed. You put this clear plastic over it. You kind of pin it down on all edges, and then sunshine comes in, greenhouse effect. The heat, it just heats up. The plants try to grow, but it's just scorching hot in there. They die. Their seeds get exposed to really hot temperatures. You can pull it back. You rake it all up. You cover it again. Expose the other seeds that were in this, you kill them again. You do that a number of times. Hopefully you've got them kind of destroyed and damaged, but you need a lot of heat for that. Summertime, you need some sunshine.
It's not hot
right now.
enough
That's not really an option, right?
Okay.
And so occultation is a cool option. I did this.
What is that? Say that again.
Occultation.
Okay.
Occultation.
Like the occult.
Like the occult. How dare you?
Like hidden things.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's basically you hide the plants from the sunlight.
Yeah. You dark it out.
You darken it out. And so you can do this with a number of, materials. I mean, I've seen people do it with an old piece of cardboard or carpet. I even used to use a big cardboard box for one of my kids' toys a couple months back. Found a use for it, and it was taking up space. And we had an area around my fruit tree, thick mulch, but it kind of loose, maybe not thick enough. And these weeds were just kind of tickling their way through it. And so I just layered on just thick layers of the cardboard. And now I kind of pull it off, and they have months later, they haven't been able to grow. They tried. You can see they're all pale, and they're all white. They look like Gollum coming out of the caves, and so they had no sunshine on them, so they couldn't grow. They eventually just starved. Just like we talk about plants feeding themselves with sunshine. They just starve essentially, and so you just smother them out. And so it didn't take a lot of effort. It didn't take chemicals or me spraying. You can do it with a tarp that's reusable. Like I said, I had some cardboard, some thick, but I've noticed with cardboard, make sure it's thick, and you might have to layer it up because some of those weeds, once that cardboard gets moistened, that first little growth bud, that terminal bud, it'll shoot right through it, and you go, oh my gosh, it's growing through the cardboard. So just a couple layers, two or three thick layers.
Does that really impress you? It shows you how powerful these plants really are.
It's cool. It's like when you see a tree limb in a fence, you're like, whoa, how'd that happen?
And they're still growing, even
so resilient,
even with you blacking it out and all that.
You'll notice it. So none of this is a perfect solution, but in the longer that you do it, or with the solarization, the hotter it gets, and the better you have it all pinned down, and the plastic's not getting holes in it. There's ways to do it. We've even did a hybrid at the school when we were gone for years ago when the lockdown occurred. We were out of the garden for all summer, and then we didn't grow any plants that year, and but I had the water shut off, but another water area broke, and so it flooded our garden. We came back to 4-foot tall weeds, Bermuda grass. I mean, as thick as you could. I mean, so thick, like it was starting to thatch up in the ground. Nut sedge everywhere.
Stuff of your nightmares.
And so we chopped it all down and then solarized it / occultationed it. Oh. We used black plastic, and so it got really, really hot underneath, like 140 degrees Fahrenheit underneath, 130, 140. It was scorching hot. We used our compost thermometer. We're like, how hot is it in there? It was super hot, and so the sunshine was coming, but no light was coming in too. So the plants were getting cooked, and were getting smothered without light. And so within a couple months, you should see the garden now.
So that's like a double whammy.
Double whammy to bud. And so doing little things like that, of course, you can't solarize them just now, but smother out those weeds.
Okay.
There's some people who garden probably notice there's weeds that are prevalent when it's cold and ones that come when it's hot. And you can smother some now, and then hopefully prepare for some of those ones when it does get hot.
Okay.
But it's just, for me, I think it's a low energy way to kill weeds.
Got it.
Which is great.
And you said it doesn't break your back because you're not bending over to
just go
pick them.
Pin it down. You can use a tarp. You can use old cardboard.
Love it.
Even this is the whole purpose of when we talk about using thick mulch. That is a form of occultation, that it eventually breaks down and benefits the soil. So if you don't want to do all this, then just add some more mulch.
Yeah, and you do say that when you talk about mulch is that it helps with weed prevention. So
it does so many things.
Cool.
I mean, it reduces erosion. It builds soil quality and health. It provides habitat to beneficial organisms. It suppresses the weeds. It's keeps the soil temperature regulated. Mulch is just fantastic.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. This is inspiring. I'm motivated. I've got some stuff I want to try. I think I actually need to go pick up a blueberry and get some seeds going. And, I don't know if I have too much of a weed issue, but I'm sure lots of people out there
We'll talk to your sponsor.
Okay.
Just kidding.
We're out of time for now. So, Kevin, thank you so much. And I'm going to ask you to take us out.
Well, it's going to be a fantastic year. Thank you, Austin, for another great episode and wonderful edit, of course. But I think this is going to be a fantastic year.
Yeah.
There's a lot to look forward to, a lot to enjoy. It starts with maybe having some kind of plan. It doesn't even have to be a perfect plan. Just get some ideas going in your head on what you want to do this winter, this spring, this summer, and what your garden dreams are. Because just with a few steps, you can make those dreams a reality. And hopefully that's going to start one seed at a time. So if I had one thing to say this week, is start considering planting some seeds.
Okay.
This is a great time to think about it, whether it's your peppers and tomatoes, but even flowers. That's one thing I really want to get in my garden this summer is just more flowers in and around my veggie beds. I'm excited. I think the sky's not even the limit for us. We can go even beyond that. And I hope that you think the same thing too, garden friends. Until next week, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Take care of yourselves, get some rest, drink some water, get out in that garden, have some fun, and check back with us next week because we have another garden adventure planned for you. Until then, happy gardening to you all, and please, never stop growing.